suspects are in custody. We have no information at this point on injuries. How those charged could end up going to trial could depend on their role in creating violence and destruction.
Protests draw many groups.
We are not sharing the identity of the federal prosecutor we talked to. We're still, even now, grappling with insurance companies and governmental agencies. We're not sure exactly the cause of that fire. Those flames reaching high, being filled with a lot of first responders right now. Avoid this area if you can. It is coming down. It's windy. It's cold. Rolling in the pinpoint weather beast all day. Let me show you what we're looking at right now. And remember, these guys are working so hard out there. They are plowing about 6 million lane miles each season. Give them a break. Shaul Turner reporting live up at Eisenhower Tunnel. Amazingly, some of the witnesses here I talked to who did not want to appear on camera said they were shopping, enjoying the holidays, and didn't even realize what was going on right here. Now, we've been pushed back a little bit. Bullet holes in those windows as well. Now, a look from the sky. You wouldn't believe what's inside one of these homes. How do you protect yourself?
Problem solved.
The problem solvers are on it. They have a right to go to work without smelling smoke from makeshift drug pipes. Fox 31 obtaining this video of an employee confronting drug users.
Get that phone out my face.
Make me.
I hope this food is going to last.
They tell a very important story in American history.
They protected Dr. Westbrook's identity when he infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan.
Terry Gentry is the great-granddaughter of Denver's first licensed black dentist.
Seems they just don't care.
How do you protect yourself?
Problem solved.
The problem solvers are on it.
Get your camera out of here.
This is your new car. Oh, you ready to get that shower? Hanging out in grocery store parking lots? All right, let's go. Don't curse at me, okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. Are you going to finish the work or not? Earl, here.
You did not a dime to finish nothing. You got all the money that you're going to get out of me.
Cross something off my bucket list. Do a Star Trek audition in front of director Justin Lin.
So, and then I'm looking into the fact that we are low on dilithium crystals.
I believe that.
Any tips for me?
None.
Thank you. Enough said. I am done.
Kevin Kavanaugh tells Fox 31 he was at the Capitol protesting peacefully on Saturday, but when he got near the police line, this happened. His friend capturing the whole thing on a cell phone.
They got pepper ball, they got tear gas, they got pepper spray, they got a chalk shot to the chest.
At the end of the day, nobody should be getting tear gas if you're a peaceful protester.
Civil rights activist Alvertus Simmons tells Fox 31 he has received complaints from protesters who say too much force is being used in some situations.
The police, have a tough job out there. We understand that. But at the end of the day, you cannot hurt innocent people.
Simmons has been exceptionally outspoken about the importance of containing instigators who commit violent and destructive acts, sometimes leaving peaceful protesters to take the blame. Now, Denver City Councilman Paul Cashman, who chairs the council safety committee, says it's time for a closer look at police tactics.
We have the right to speak our mind. We don't have the right to smash property. The police have the charge to protect the peace. They don't have the right to go past whatever reasonable level of force is necessary.
Some organizations are now requesting a public report outlining police procedures used during the protest. On Monday, Chief Paul Pazin walked with protesters, sending a strong message that was well received by many, like protester Leonard D'Orlando.
I think it's a great thing. Ultimately, I think if you're with the people, then the conflict isn't going to be so violent, so strong.
Cashman says a discussion, or perhaps more, is long overdue.
We all need to stand on higher ground.
Yeah, the union representing more than 2,000 RTD employees basically saying they have a right to go to work without smelling smoke from makeshift drug pipes. And they joined passengers and even some who are homeless in saying enough is enough.
Should you be smoking that inside?
Should you be recording me without my permission?
Yeah, I am. This is a public place.
Fox 31 obtaining this video of an employee confronting drug users at the RTD Union Station stop near the Chestnut Pavilion.
Get that phone out my face.
Make me.
Employees and riders say it's happening day and night.
I've lived in Colorado my whole life, and up until this past year, I've never seen such open and blatant drug use.
Here, you see a man inside the pavilion appearing to use drugs with law enforcement patrol lights behind him.
It's It's heroin, it's crack.
And here, a man challenges security officers. Others hang out in restrooms.
The restrooms were just packed full of people, and of course, there's a sign outside that says limit 2 at a time, but the signs are not doing anything.
The problem solvers found the Union Station area has Denver's second highest concentration of violent crime. Amalgamated Transit Union President Lance Longenbahn tells Fox 31 employees fear for their safety.
We're here to do our job. We're not here to necessarily tell them exactly how to fix it, but they need to figure it out.
RTD tells the problem solvers they're stepping up security in the area through strategic partnerships with the Federal Transportation Security Administration's Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response Teams and the Guardian Angels nonprofit organization. Many in the area are homeless.
Because they closed down Civic Center, there's not very many other places to go.
This former fast food worker lost his job during the pandemic. He now frequents Union Station and battles drug addiction.
I'm not even going to play games about it. I am a user.
As he spoke to us, a man abruptly approached our camera.
Oh. Banging on the camera.
Speaking of the devil.
You are stupid.
Highly disrespectful, as you can tell.
And he would welcome a stronger police presence before the situation gets out of control.
They have no respect for themselves, nor do they have respect for anyone else.
It's going to get worse, and it's going to get worse, and we want it stopped before it causes a loss of life.
Just trying to stay on a bull.
They were brave, loyal, and tough.
Any bull rider that tells you he wasn't scared to get on a bull is lying. They're lying.
African Americans escaping the chains of slavery to venture west, finding work as ranch hands and scouts.
And the ranch owners would just say the boys. The boys are out watching the cows. The boys, the boys, the boys. And then they start calling them cowboys.
It's a history that's cherished by many, but it was the popular Hollywood Western that would inspire Abe Morris, who didn't grow up in the West, but in a small town in New Jersey.
I love watching the Westerns. I watched The Lone Ranger. I watched Roy Rogers.
Morris says it was tough to leave everything he knew on the East Coast in order to follow his dream. He found himself in Wyoming in 1974.
I was the only black guy in the Central Rocky Mountain region.
At many times, it was difficult to find acceptance with anyone.
This black football player says, "What do you know about rodeo?"
But soon, Morris won everyone over.
Where I'm riding, you look at the guys on the back of the chutes, and they are smiling because I've been accepted.
Morris eventually became a bull riding champion and first black pro rodeo announcer, appearing on Fox Sports and other networks.
It's my favorite rodeo, without a doubt. I go to Cheyenne every single year. I love going to Cheyenne. The people in Cheyenne treat me extremely well. I was in Cheyenne when Lane Frost got killed, and I interviewed him. I was the last person to interview him on camera that day. I cried like a little baby. I broke down and cried. It was hard.
Morris knew bull riding wasn't a long-term goal.
You never know the outcome, and they have a saying about, rodeo and bull riding. It's not if you get hurt. It's when and how bad.
So he tried his hand at marketing and financial consulting, which wasn't easy. But a cowboy doesn't give up.
Being in rodeo, I didn't, you don't always win, but my manager told me, he said, some will, some won't. So what? Next.
Morris went on to achieve huge success and keep stacks of awards in his home.
I ended up third in the nation based on sales. I'd signed up over 860 clients. I signed a lot of rodeo cowboys up.
He later published his autobiography, My Cowboy Hat Still Fits. But this rugged cowboy has another passion. His cookie business is thriving.
I didn't have a girlfriend. I'm single. I love chocolate chip cookies, so I learned to bake chocolate chip cookies.
These days, he's taking more orders than he can handle. I know one thing. These are going to be gone in 8 seconds.
That's okay.
Oh, my God. Morris has clearly made his place in history. He says he wants to inspire children of all backgrounds to go for their dreams. It may take more than 8 seconds, but success is certainly worth it.
If something fails or falters down the road, you have more than one thing.
Incredible stories of resilience.
It became harder and harder for the segregationists to deny that there was an equal playing field here.
Things were not easy, but they did not give up. Tonight, we explore the past, the future, the innovators. And how Colorado is rising up, fighting through this pandemic, and honoring Black history.
Hank Aaron started his baseball career on a different type of playing field. Between 1920 and 1948, more than 3,000 talented Black athletes played in a league of their own, called the Negro Leagues. They were not allowed to play Major League Baseball due to segregation at the time. But a game played right here in Denver ended up changing the course of professional sports.
It happened in 1934.
Really kicking off the civil rights movement nationally.
History Colorado's new book, Game Changers, authored by Jason Hansen, outlines the challenges and triumphs of the Negro Leagues and Colorado's prominent role in their success. The Kansas City Monarchs, reigning champions of the Negro Leagues, were invited to play in what was called the Denver Post's World Series of the West.
With every story that these sports writers were sending out from Denver, it became harder and harder for the segregationists to deny that there was an equal playing field here. You couldn't just dismiss this.
In December of 2020, the Major League Baseball Commissioner officially elevated the Negro Leagues to Major League status.
Now, when the Kansas City Monarchs played that famous game, they drew the attention of a young baseball hopeful who would eventually join the team and later become the first African American to break the color barrier by becoming a member of the Brooklyn Dodgers. His name was Jackie Robinson. Well, we're just getting started. Up next, we'll introduce you to the bright rodeo stars from Colorado who are taking the sport by storm. But first, a teenager who grew up in Denver once said to family and friends, "I will be mayor of this great city one day." Today, he is Denver's 45th and second African-American mayor. The first was Wellington Webb. A word now from Mayor Michael Hancock about what Maya Angelou's poem, Still I Rise, means to him.
Well, we look back for our strength and for our inspiration. You know, who am I to go through difficult times as mayor and then forget about the what Wellington Webb did to open the door so I could be mayor. Who am I to stop and say I can't do it? No, we've got to persevere. The African Americans' role in this country.
A walk down Welton Street in Denver's Five Points neighborhood, past the great Rossonian Hotel, where jazz greats like Duke Ellington once performed, allows a glimpse of Denver's rich history. But the side streets reveal a more mysterious side.
We're members of the Boule, Sigma Pi Phi fraternity. They protected Dr. Westbrook's identity when he infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan.
Terry Gentry is the great-granddaughter of Denver's first licensed Black dentist, Dr. Thomas Ernest McLean. She stands outside the Black American West Museum on California Street, temporarily closed due to the pandemic. It was once the home of Denver's first licensed Black doctor, Justina Ford. Gentry's great-grandfather joined Dr. Joseph Westbrook, who was of a mixed racial background, to fight injustice. Westbrook bravely snuck into Colorado Ku Klux Klan meetings.
They would take that information and take it back to the Black community to make sure that we were safe.
You know, we just want to have a dialogue.
Today, redevelopment in Five Points is attracting droves of investors. Historian Calvin Williamson wants them to realize the historic gold mine they now call home. He's bringing people together here at the Coffee on the Point Cafe on Welton.
I believe it starts with first getting together, understanding one another, and just have a conversation.
It's got a very rich history, and I really appreciate that.
And his latest mural honors teachers enduring the coronavirus pandemic.
It's all about communicating a message.
You turn a street corner or visit your favorite restaurant, and you see them.
It just really stops you and sort of grabs your attention.
Colorful murals reaching to the rooftops, providing a stunning glimpse of everyday people who are nothing short of special in the eyes of artist Thomas Detour Evans.
They too are special, they too are beautiful, they too, can be on a wall.
His latest mural pays tribute to teachers in Denver and the challenges they faced throughout history and during the pandemic.
How will people go back to school and virtual school and all this stuff?
Detour didn't paint what you see here.
How exactly did all of these messages appear on this wall?
So as I was painting the mural, as I painted, I had people come through and actually write messages to teachers. Without you, we have no future.
I kind of never really expected my face to be up on the side of a building.
And this Aurora West College Preparatory Academy teacher appreciates being the face of his message.
Teachers really don't get a lot of the respect that they deserve. They definitely don't get the pay that they deserve.
Here in his downtown Denver studio, the artist uses graphics and his unique color palette to transform photographs into these powerful images.
How do I sort of solve this problem creatively?
He doesn't have a staff that makes business deals in order to showcase his work. In fact, Detour's marketing plan is really quite simple.
Anyone just say, hey, can I paint your wall?
And so is his enduring message.
I think everyone has that sort of special light inside of them. They're not always celebrities and, athletes or anything. It's like regular people like you and I. This is something that I really want to try to continue.
But behind the flowing white gowns and promenade lies a tradition that continues to make history even during a pandemic.
A grand affair. Debutantes dressed in white, reaching for the stars while making a difference here on Earth. It all started here in this Northeast Denver building, a former insurance agency, where the Owl Club still stands today.
Just being a debutante was such an extraordinary honor.
The founders of the club were blacks who traveled out west to find work building Colorado's railroads.
The wives used to call them the night owls because they spend all their time in here.
The Owl Club's mission to provide scholarships and community support for young women filled with promise at a time when opportunities were limited.
The African American young ladies here in this community were not even considered for some of the debutante balls that were being conducted. The Owl Club of Denver decided that we would showcase these young ladies and highlight all of their achievements.
The first 10 debutantes, chosen in 1951 from Denver's Manual and East High Schools. Qualifications are based on merit, grade point average, and community service. A closer look at this photograph reveals one debutante who would later become the first female African-American U.S. Secretary of State and first woman to serve as U.S. National Security Advisor.
In 1971, we presented Condoleezza Rice.
Others went on to contribute in areas of law, medicine, and civil service.
This was more about our own personal achievements and about the expectations that the Owl Club had for each of us.
Allegra Happy Haynes has served as Denver City Council member, president of the Board of Education, and is now the executive director of Denver Parks and Recreation. She recalls fond memories of the bond she shared with her sister debutantes.
Condoleezza was somebody I actually looked up to. She was even then, so brilliant, so focused, the model debutante.
The Owl Club members are proud to share this wall.
This is Condoleezza Rice. There's Happy Haynes.
The tradition continues despite the pandemic.
I am an Owls Club debutante.
This season's debutante presentation was virtual. Still, it meant the world to debutante Gabrielle Shedd, who wants to follow in the steps of dance icon Cleo Parker Robinson, also a former Owl Club debutante.
I remember watching the debutante ball in the kitchen with my grandmother and my sister, and I was completely caught off guard when they announced my name for the $1,000 scholarship.
We have a very rich heritage. We want to continue the legacy of the debutante presentation.
We're proud to say we have a debutante in the Fox 31 Channel 2 family. This Rosa T. Beard debutante was a young woman who dreamed of working in television one day. Now, Morgan Paul is working for our company Nexstar, producing this very special. Well, a modern-day Buffalo Soldier troupe is keeping history alive, traveling the West, sharing the stories of black soldiers who served in the 1800s. Next, how they're surviving after the pandemic forced them to cancel shows and the very special demonstration they put on just so we could share it with you. The Buffalo Soldiers were freed slaves who helped build the American West. Today, a nonprofit Colorado-based performance troupe dedicated to telling their story is struggling due to the economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic, but still, they rise.
Riding hard and riding fast. Riding hard and riding fast. I hope this food is going to last.
Their shows canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic.
I was the only one to make it out, I'm sure.
But they will ride again.
The officer would say, "First Sergeant, ring me a tune." And he'd go, whoa, whoa, whoa. My name is Fred Applewhite, and I am the First Sergeant of the Buffalo Soldiers of the American West.
Regimental Sergeant.
I am the Lieutenant of the Buffalo Soldiers M Troop.
Dedicated to sharing the story of the 10th Cavalry Regiment of the United States Army, formed in 1866 after the Civil War.
We were finding out our history that was left out of the history books.
I impersonate Kathy Williams, who was the only documented female Buffalo Soldier.
The white officers actually got a little bump in their rank by taking a African-American regiment, so some of them were motivated by the pay, others were motivated by the message and the mission.
Many times when they went into battle with black soldiers and white soldiers back then would fight side by side. That's called survival.
The oldest surviving Buffalo Soldier, Mark Matthews, was born in 1894. He died at the age of 111 and was buried at Arlington National Cemetery in 2005. His memory honored by this troop, created by Denver Public School educators.
I'm a high school teacher at Thomas Jefferson High School.
A rodeo bull rider.
First Sergeant Kenneth Johnson.
And others teaching a story to the world with a message for all times.
I think if we learn the shared history and the shared hardships, I think that could propel us beyond some of the arguments and debates that we have today.
Buffalo Soldiers was not just black history. They are part of American history.
Incredible people from across Colorado have found ways to inspire and carry on despite the coronavirus pandemic. And that's really the message of our show. Finding ways to meet challenges and to pull through. In other words, finding ways to just hang in there. We leave you now with an iconic poem from Maya Angelou, Still I Rise. I'm Shaul Turner. Thank you for joining us for this Fox 31 and Channel 2 News special.
You may write me down in history
with your bitter, twisted lies.
You may trod me in the very dirt,
but still, like dust, I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you?
Why are you beset with gloom?
Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room.
Just like moons and like suns.
with a certainty of tides.
Just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise.
Did you want to see me broken?
Bowed head and lowered eyes.
Shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries.
Does my haughtiness offend you?
Don't you take it awfully hard.
Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my backyard.
I rise.
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 From the time I was a little girl, I've loved Star Trek. So I was more than overjoyed when, as a grown-up, I got a chance to sit down with the cast of Star Trek Beyond.
Look at your shirt, nice. Okay. Oh.
I like that shirt. Maybe if you had a red shirt on, I'd be slightly more friendly.
I am counting on it.
The crew of the Enterprise takes on a new threat, Idris Elba's character Krall.
Unity is not your strength.
Chris Pine excels once again as Captain James Kirk.
It's hard to play a role loved by people through so many decades.
You're only as good as your writers and the ideas that they come up with, and you're only as good as your director. So
the special effects and sets are stunning. There's that love connection between Spock and Uhura.
We've also tried to blur the line between his Vulcan nature and his human nature.
And the usual snarkiness from Dr. Bones McCoy doesn't disappoint.
You know, Spock, if an Earth girl says it's me, not you, it's definitely you.
To kind of
kind of identify what the essence of what the late great DeForest Kelley did so wonderfully well, and then infuse it into this younger version of the character.
Co-writer Simon Pegg, who also plays ship's engineer Scotty, says Star Trek stays true to originator Gene Roddenberry's vision of a better world in the future.
Ultimately, deep down, what we want to do is just all live together because it's so much easier. You know, I mean, it's tiring being angry. It's tiring hating people.
Just like when Kirk and Uhura had television's first interracial kiss in 1968, Star Trek Beyond features the first openly gay Enterprise crew member, Mr. Sulu, played by John Cho.
Why is this so significant?
Sulu's not coming out of the closet. He was never in a closet, and the film doesn't make a big deal out of it, and maybe it suggests a future in which it isn't a big deal.
I grew up worshiping Uhura.
Some may consider, oh my gosh, she's so sassy. I'm like, no, she's a woman. She's real.
Live long and prosper, my brother.
I certainly had my share of fun with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto.
You think the Denver Broncos are going to win another Super Bowl?
Yes, absolutely.
I gotta ask, do you think that you might be able to pick me up as your first officer?
What is going on? Yes. Yes, absolutely, sure.
But one thing I still had to do, cross something off my bucket list. Do a Star Trek audition in front of director Justin Lin. They have to have room for one more on the cast. You could use some help. Spock, you all right? So here goes nothing.
Now, this is my tricorder.
Yes.
And I've just come back from Romulus.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So, after my return from Romulus, I'm noticing some different changes, some different readings. So, and then I'm looking into the fact that we are low on dilithium crystals. Sulu, shields up.
Wow, I believe that.
Any tips for me?
None.
Oh.
Perfect.
Okay now, thank you. Enough said, I am done.